Hey guys, welcome to Gluten Free Habit. Today we're making gluten-free Valentine's Day cupcakes. So this video will show you how to make this entire cupcake, from the cake to the frosting to the chocolate decorations on top. I had a lot of fun making these and I think you will too. And one of the great things about the cupcake batter is that you can mix everything in one bowl, less cleanup. And here's what we're going to need for the cupcakes. Tapioca starch, potato starch, white rice flour, cocoa powder, baking soda, water, vegetable oil, eggs, vanilla, salt, and sugar. The exact measurements for this recipe can be found down below in the description box. And as always, make sure that all of your ingredients are gluten-free. Start by lining your cupcake tray with paper liners and preheat the oven to 325 degrees. This recipe will make about 12 cupcakes when you fill the cupcake liners about 2/3 full. Now set that aside and let's mix up the cupcakes. In a large mixing bowl, mix together all of your dry ingredients except the sugar, your tapioca starch, white rice flour, potato starch, baking soda, baking powder, salt, and cocoa powder. Now whisk or stir that all together. Then stir in the sugar. Now we can add all the wet ingredients: eggs, water, vegetable oil, and vanilla. Mix on low speed just until everything is moist, and then medium speed for about 2 minutes. This batter will be a little bit thinner than traditional gluten batters, but don't worry, that's exactly how it should be. Sometimes I transfer the batter into a measuring cup, then I can just pour it into the paper liners. It makes it a little bit less messy and I can control better how much I put into each cup. But today I'm just using a spoon. Bake these at 325 degrees for about 16 to 18 minutes, or just until a toothpick comes out clean. So here are the cupcakes right out of the oven. They rise just the right amount. Now remove the cupcakes from the tray to let them cool, but be very careful because they're going to be soft. So I like to use a butter knife just to gently lift them out. Now let's get started on the chocolate decorations. You'll need a cookie sheet lined with wax paper, a pastry bag, some chocolate chips, and a No. 3 piping tip. What we need to do is carefully melt the chocolate and then cool it down to retemper it. Start by pouring about 1/4 of your chips into a separate container and set that aside. Now microwave the larger portion of chips for 30 seconds at 50% power. These are hardly melted at all, so we'll go 30 seconds more at 50% power. We don't want to do too much because we're not trying to melt the chocolate all the way, just about 80% of the way. Continue microwaving in 30-second increments until the chocolate starts to melt. Then switch to 15-second increments. Once your chips are about 80% melted, you want to add in your remaining chips. Stir vigorously, and these new chips will start to melt, and it will, in the process, cool down your chocolate, which is what we want to happen so we can re-temper the chocolate. If we don't re-temper the chocolate properly, then the decorations are going to melt on your cupcakes. But if we temper it properly, they'll firm up and stay that way. So continue stirring in these new chips and let them melt. It'll take a few minutes, but just be patient. This cooling process is really important for the retempering. Once your chocolate is perfectly smooth, spoon it into your pastry bag. And you can close up the bag just by carefully folding it over a few times. Test your chocolate, and as long as it's coming out smoothly, you're ready to start your decorations. I'm going to start by making some hearts. Notice that I do a little tail on it. That won't actually show. It just gives me something to stick into the cupcake to hold up the decoration a little better. There's so many cute Valentine messages that you can make with this, which makes it a lot of fun. Just make sure that whatever designs you pick, you keep the chocolate fairly thick. That way your decorations will be sturdy when you pick them up. Once your tray is filled, place that in the fridge and start the buttercream frosting. Here's what you'll need: powdered sugar, a pinch of salt, vanilla, and some butter. And for the decorating, you'll need a pastry bag, the decorating tip of your choice. Today I'm using a Wilton 2D, some Valentine sprinkles, and some gluten-free food coloring. In a large mixing bowl, cream together your butter, vanilla, and salt. Now add in your powdered sugar a little bit at a time. Now check your frosting for consistency. If you need it to be a little creamier, you can add a little bit of milk. And if you need it a little bit thicker, you can add a tiny bit more powdered sugar. I like to make my cupcake frosting just a little bit thicker than if I were spreading this on a cake. That way the frosting holds up really well. When you're happy with the consistency, divide the frosting into 2 bowls. We're going to do swirl frosting on these cupcakes, so we need 2 colors. Now stir in your gluten-free food coloring. And remember, it doesn't take very much. About 4 to 6 drops will give you a nice pink. Now put your decorating tip into your pastry bag and fill half of the bag with the white frosting. When I'm putting 2 different colors into a pastry bag, I like to use a regular butter knife because it's smaller. I can control where I put the frosting better than if I were to use a larger spatula or a spoon or something like that. Notice I'm pressing the frosting over to one side of the bag. Once you have half the bag filled with the white frosting, fill the other side with the pink. Doing a swirl design does take a lot of frosting, so I would recommend using a large pastry bag. Now I'm layering the pink frosting right on top of the white frosting, being very careful not to combine the two. There, that ought to do it. Now carefully fold over your bag or twist it at the top to keep the frosting in. Squeeze out a little frosting just to make sure you have both colors coming out evenly. Then you're ready to go. Now clear your work area and bring in the cupcakes. To frost the cupcakes, hold your pastry bag perpendicular to the cupcake or close to it, and then starting on the outside edge, pipe circles around the cupcake, gradually moving inward. And at the top of the cupcake, gently press down and lift out. And I like to add some sprinkles before the frosting sets it all, so I do that as I go. When you're done frosting the cupcakes, set those aside and get out your chocolate decorations. Now use a sharp-edged spatula to gently loosen them from the wax paper. And now we can place them on the cupcakes. I love these cupcakes for Valentine's Day. I think they're so cute. I really hope you get a chance to try them. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next gluten-free habit recipe. And if you feel like it, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.